I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
They might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, he is. He's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out. And
he's steaming mad.
He is out.
Swung, fly ball deep left center. Grissom on the run. Yes! The Atlanta Braves have given you a championship.
Auburn going after it. Here's a good snap. It is blocked. It is blocked. It's followed a run. It's followed a run. He's going to score. David Wagner has scored. And Auburn is tied the game.
It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's good! Van Tippen has won the ball game. Alabama has beaten Auburn!
I'd like for the people to remember me as being a winner, because I ain't never been that a winner.
All right, welcome in again to another edition of the Total Chat Sports Podcast. We are at number 57 on the list. Yes, it is back-to-back days. I bet everyone that is watching the stream is like, what in the hell is going on? Where is this coming from? Well, we have some good news, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes, but make sure that you constantly support the stream by subscribing, liking, tweeting, retweeting, re-Xing, Xing, whatever you want to call it, posting it on your social, telling everybody that you know about it, of the Total Chat Sports Podcast. As you're helping me greatly get more exposure to the stream and to the podcast and everything like that. But you being here, being the eyes and ears and everything like that, it's always really good to have you on and have you here. So thank you so much as always. I always got ever since we've been making this transition into the video side of the podcast, I have not been posting the audio at all on any platform. I'll try to get to that point where maybe I just have it recording on my phone in the background. And if you do want to listen to it, you're more than welcome to. But, I mean, what's wrong with just going on YouTube and leaving it on and just letting it play? And you might be working or you might be doing something in the background or whatever. You don't have to turn it up loud. Just keep it on just a little bit in soft tones and just kind of enjoy me rambling about sports all day. And maybe some pop culture, maybe some history along the way. We did our first edition of On This Day in Sports. And I think it was a great success. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. I think it's something that is a lot of fun. I found some more history facts on that website, onthisday.com. Check that out if you want to. There's some cool historical facts, but also we're going to run down some sports history as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. We also got a lot to talk about that I didn't talk about yesterday. Of course, there was one thing that we can kind of talk about, and that's the Braves losing last night, a 3-2 matchup against the Philadelphia Phillies. Aaron Nola versus Max Fried, two aces on the bump, and of course the Braves end up losing. Bases loaded, and then bottom of the ninth, Whit Merrifield just couldn't put it in play, and the Braves lose. Hit it right to Bryce Harper, steps on the bag, and everyone wants to talk about how Orlando Arcia stared him down when he hit a home run last night. Well, you know what? Bryce Harper, that was warranted, buddy. When you talk shit, when you do all that stuff, you haven't even won a World Series in over a decade, Philadelphia Phillies fans. So quit talking all that smack about your team. You choked in the World Series. You could have won a World Series, but you didn't. You talk all this trash. You always want to act hard. And then when it comes down to it, you end up choking or losing in some hilarious fashion. And I'm just so sick and tired because Phillies fans are, I mean, really, a lot of sports fans are, I say, like, will just show up when their team's good. Look at the Atlanta Braves. As soon as the Atlanta Braves started sucking, the fan base started going away a little bit. But then when you started hearing them on the road and they're winning games at the Giants or LA or whatever, you hear the cheers. You hear Braves country traveling. So don't sit here and say that, like, oh, well, this is whatever. I don't like the way Orlando Arcia was staring at Bryce Harper. Well, screw off. I've never been a fan of Bryce Harper, and I'll never be a fan of Bryce Harper. I think he's a great baseball player. Just not a fan of the guy. I think he cries a lot. I think in years past, there's been plenty of media people that sit here and dog Ronald Acuna for the way that he's lively and the way that he carries himself and the way that he enjoys playing the game of baseball. But then there's the side of like a ton of people that are just like, oh, this guy, the way he does it is awful. I can't believe he does it this way. Blah, 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 blah. And then you have Bryce Harper throw a bat down in some hard ass way after he hits a home run, staring down Orlando Arcia, being that hard ass that he claims to be. I'm so sick of Bryce Harper. So don't even sit here and talk to me about it today, James, because it's not happening. We're not talking about the rubber game that's going on today. Well, we are. Because you do have Spencer Swellenbach. So it's going to be a good matchup. It is what it is. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to get mad over that whole situation. I think the Braves had a lot of chances, just like the Phillies did the night before. Also, last night, the umpiring was absolute dog shit. So let's go ahead and get robotic umpires in MLB because it was absolutely stupid. So hopefully tonight, when you've got Schwellenbach versus Sanchez, hopefully you'll have some really good umpiring and not total dog crap like it was last night. So I think that the Phillies are beatable, though. If you look at it at the end of the day, the Phillies, if you get past their aces, their bullpen is dog shit. Their bullpen cannot find command, it seems like, at all. You get past those aces. Max Fried had one of his best games since returning from the injured list. I mean, so is this a good sign? Yes, it is. Could Max Fried also, the very next game, give up 4 to 5 runs in the first inning? Very much well. So I think that what you saw last night was a step up for Max Fried. Hopefully he can stay consistent throughout that. And then you'll have your two aces in Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale to kind of guide you through the rest of the regular season. So the Braves are only 1.5 up on the New York Mets. They lost another one. They're back another one behind the Philadelphia Phillies. But like I said before, keep winning, stay consistent, be in that third spot. You'll be fine. Whoever you play is not going to want to play you in that opening game. And then you get that number one team. And then guess what happens? You're probably going to end up beating them. So it is what it is. It's baseball. Umpiring. And that's the thing about it. I do want robotic umpires, especially behind the mound. We are behind the bump. Or behind the plate. We are doing this whole thing with a chip in the football, and there's like chips in the shoulder pad, so when they land and all this other stuff. So they're trying to get it right in football. Soccer and especially tennis have had it right for the longest time with VAR. How can they get it right? Because they do it correctly, and they have it right, and they want to get it right every single time. Now, as bad as the referees might be in soccer, they still try to get everything right when it comes down to goal scoring and everything like that. Now, you can bitch and complain about offsides, all that kind of stuff. That's the thing about it. That offside situation, a lot of times, is a judgment call. I mean, it does kind of have that VR line that they show a lot of times in the game, but a lot of times it's on that judge that's running, that's watching parallel of the players and trying to see if maybe a guy's pulling too forward before the ball moves. And it's all about where the ball is in soccer. So if the ball is in motion and the player is behind is like somewhere around there, they can go ahead and get a little bit in front of them. Like the ball was already in motion before they passed the person. You see what I'm saying? If they're already past the person and the guy still has the ball and he kicks it forward, he could just kick it forward. It doesn't even have to go to that player, and they'll call an offside. So it is what it is. Baseball's got to figure it out. They're doing it in AAA. They're figuring it out in AA. I'm sure eventually it's going to get to the point where it's like, we can't have this anymore. You're not going to have the same old big fat umpire that's behind the plate that is just apparently can't see right over the plate. So I think with the way the ball moves, the way the ball goes over the plate, you have to have some kind of VR system or something like that to kind of get it effectively. So then a coach could maybe challenge it. I don't even care if the game takes longer. That's the thing. You're just going to end up making the game take longer, and I don't care. I like baseball. So at the end of the day, like, that's cool for me. Like, just keep playing. Just keep playing. I care less. What's up, JP? Good to see you, buddy. Captain Yorkie in here. Go hit him up on Kick, Twitch, all them places. Jay Lowry. Good to see you, Steele. Anybody else in here right now? You're more than welcome to be a part of the show. That's the reason why we started doing it live, making it more fun. I think maybe I'll get Yorkie in here a little bit later when I'm breaking down the NFC and AFC South. You're probably not going to like the way that I crapped on the Saints, but that's okay. At least you're not at the bottom of the barrel. So, and I don't think that the Saints are the worst team in the NFC. I really don't. I still think they could win a few games. Derek Carr is still a quality quarterback. So, you're going to pay him that money to come down there, you might as well start doing something. So, you got to win games, and that's the thing about the South. You don't know what happens to Kirk Cousins. What if Michael Penix plays and he's not the guy? I don't know. We don't know. There's so many what ifs. The pitch challenge works it works well with the minors, right? Yeah. I can see that, like, for sure. I mean, the pitch challenge, the pitch clock, bigger bases. I mean, that's something that, like, kind of needed to happen anyway, you know? The pitch clock I like because it makes the game a little bit faster, I guess, in a way, but it also kind of makes, like, for the game to kind of, like, you will generate runs a lot of times, and you will have some stellar performances by pitchers and everything like that. So it hasn't really changed the outer aspect, I think, of, like, what's going to happen in the game. Because you could still have, like, a 13 or 14 inning game, but it could only take, like, 3.5 hours, not 5.5 hours. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the pitch clock has its benefits, and, you know, sometimes it could just be like your guy's getting shellacked, and then you got to put in a utility player. That's the reason why I'm not a really huge fan of that 6 inning. You either give up 4 runs or something like that, or you throw 100 pitches and you can take out the pitcher before 6th inning in that proposal. But I want to say that, like, you know, I do like seeing a guy out there throwing the eephus ball and throwing a 40-mile-per-hour, you know, moonshot ball that apparently people can't hit. So, I mean, I just think that baseball is trying to get in the right direction. I think they do a terrible job of marketing towards the kids and young people in the world to try to get more exposure for baseball. But, I mean, it is what it is. Like, baseball just seems to not care. Like, I mean, ever since the Braves went away from TBS, ESPN only plays like a few games a week. You don't even have it like it used to be. I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday Night Baseball. And the thing is, it's like, at least like, maybe there's a game on FS1. Maybe there's a game on TBS. You know what I mean? And I just wish there were more games. Stop putting them on Amazon or stop putting them on Apple TV. No one's watching that crap. No one's watching HCFC right now on Apple TV. I'm going to tell you that right now. No one's buying it for that team, all right? They're going to a bar where they're having a watch party, and the person that is supplying the game is someone who works for the team. So it's not somebody that actually bought the package. What is wrong with you? Put the game on local TV so we can watch it. The Rocket City Trash Pandas put their game on 31.6 The Grio, okay? The Grio. It is a terrible, absolutely terrible TV channel. It has horrible movies that are all low budget crap. They play HBCU games that are dismal and not fun to watch whatsoever. And apparently FS1 and I forgot what the other whatever. I think it's the Grio, FS1, a bunch of Fox Sports programming or whatever are going to start doing HBCU games. And I'm sorry, I've been to HBCU games. I've been to a few of them. They're not really that much fun to watch. The best thing about it is the band at halftime. I mean, really, the play is not as great as you're going to watch if you're watching FCS or if you're watching higher FCS or you're watching, like, you know, a team that is in the WAC or MAC or you know, whatever. Like, not the SWAC, because that would be the same as those games. I'm not a hater. Just don't tell me that, like, these games are fun to watch. It's like telling me that the WNBA is entertaining to watch. It is not entertaining to watch. There are 2 players that are taking over the league in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and Angel Reese in itself is just getting her own rebounds and then making points off of it, okay? So don't sit here and tell me that, like, all of these sports are great when at the end of the day, they're not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch someone struggle to make a layup. It's not fun to watch someone constantly turning over the ball. It's not fun. And with HBCU games, a lot of times, and these SWAC games, some of these teams are just not good. They're not fun to watch. Like, I would watch easily, like, a Boise State playing somebody, or New Mexico State or somebody, or like, give me UMass. Give me UMass offensively. Okay, I will sit there and watch the game all day. I mean, just give me something that is more entertaining throughout that programming. I get it. They're just trying to create more exposure, but at what cost? Like, what's the point? It's like the soccer game. Like, no one's buying that package. I guarantee you that. And I guarantee you that the reason why they're watching it is because they're going somewhere that's populated with other people, and they'd watch it there. They're not going to watch it at home. Plus, the announcing is dog ass. Like, it is just it's not worth listening to. So don't sit here and tell me that some of these sports are worth putting on TV, because they're really not. Because if you don't put a good announcer behind it, then it's not just worth it. You know what I mean? You're going to hit on week 0 today as well for college football or high school? Because I'll do both. I was going to hit on both. I was just going to talk about the games that were going on Saturday. Then you got some games next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then we'll break down AFC, NFC South. I've already talked about the Trash Pandas, so we really don't have to break them down any more than we already have. They're still playing the Montgomery Biscuits right now. I hear you're going to the game, Yorkie. I'll see you next week for sure. I will be at the dog night, and I'll definitely come to Thursday night just so I can shake hands with maybe Hacksaw Jim Duggan coming by. My alma mater plays today on ESPN2. Your high school alma mater? Is that, you got, where'd you go? You went somewhere in Montgomery, right? That should be a lot of fun. Yeah, no, you went to Thompson, really? Oh, you went to Thompson? That's cool. They're playing today. Who are they playing? Somebody out of the state because they're really good? But I can find it right here on that website. I got the Alabama High School football history. It's Alabama High School Football Historical Society.org. Really, really good website if you ever need anything. So you can actually not look like a jackass talking about the teams that you cover. Oh, they're playing Grayson, Georgia. It's on TV. They play Lipscomb Academy, Tennessee team next week. And then they start their regular season in Alabama. They play Tuscaloosa County, Oak Mountain, Vestavia Hills, Clay Chalkville, Hewitt Trussville, Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa, Hoover, and Prattville. Got to be fun for your week 0 matchups, and your week 1 matchup is 2 out-of-state teams that are pretty good. It's like my alma mater's playing Lee right down the road. That's their week 0 game. You know what I mean? Buckhorn right up the road, too. Up over the mountain, they're playing Decatur. You know, hit or miss on Decatur every single year. Yeah, I hate Hoover. I absolutely hate Hoover. And by the way, with all that situation that was going on with their head coach and assistant coach and everything like that, they both had to step down because they were assholes. That's not how you coach. It's not even old school how you coach. That's just not how you coach. You don't run up to a player and start beating the crap out of him, throwing his helmet on the ground, all this other stuff. You don't do that kind of thing. Like, even when I was kind of like rough and would do things like just to kind of get a fire off, you know, just to like light a fire under someone's ass and make them move and make them do something, like, I never did anything like that. I may have embarrassed a kid in front of everybody, but then at the end of the day, he understood that he was being a bully and that it's not fun to be a bully. It's not fun to do that in front of your coach. What, in the Rush Propes? Yeah, no, they've got Chip English now. And I hope that he can do something there, because he didn't do anything at my alma mater. He didn't do anything at Albertville. And as soon as he could get that Hoover offensive coordinator job, you know he left in a heartbeat at Albertville, because Albertville would have ran him out. Albertville's going to run this Burt Brown guy if he's not any good. And now he's talking about he's got all this great talent at Hoover, and he's ready to see what he can do with this talent at Hoover. Okay, Coach English. We'll see. Okay, you made a lot of promises at Grissom, too. You had one decent season where you made the playoffs, and the only reason you made the playoffs was because it was a COVID year, and one of your games was a forfeit because someone during the game posted a very terrible, terrible meme about the other opposing team, and they canceled the game because they thought people were going to riot and fight and doing all this other stuff. And then allegedly, a bunch of linemen got COVID, and the game couldn't be played. So, whatever. What the hell ever. There's a lot of great games, actually. I had the list up right here. Well, let's just go ahead and break it down because I'm very excited because I didn't talk about it yesterday. I am very excited for that announcement of backyard sports coming back. I grew up on backyard sports, okay? I played backyard baseball, backyard football, backyard hockey, backyard basketball. Then like 2005 hit and I got an Xbox, all right? And I never played those games ever again because Halo came out or whenever Halo came out. All right. Still had the discs and everything like that. Don't know whatever happened to those. But then started playing Xbox and got away from everything from the GameCube and everything like that. So I think I got the GameCube, then I quit playing those computer games. Now I think I still maybe had the GameCube at the time because 2004 would have been the time that I was playing backyard football. And then because I remember no, it was like 2003 because I was in 8th grade. And I remember playing backyard football with my buddy, and my mom was telling me that it was going into 9th grade. That's what it was because we were selling football cards. And my mom was telling me that I needed to go around the neighborhood with my buddy to go sell the football cards to make money for the program. And I was playing backyard football with a buddy of mine. And we were like trying to come back, like we were trying to win the game so we could go on to like the next, I think it was just the next game. I don't even think it was the championship or the playoffs or whatever. And so we're sitting there playing or whatever. And my mom's like, y'all need to go outside. Y'all need to go sell these cards, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, Mom, I'm almost done. We're going to go in just a second. My dad walks over to me, grabs me by the head, pulls me back and goes, I don't care about particularly damn game. Okay? And that shit got ended real quick. We turned the game off. We went outside and we went and sold our cards. We tried to go sell our cards because I did not want to come back home anytime soon until it was okay for me to come home. So I have a lot of great memories and a lot of funny and a lot of messed up memories because that game in itself, backyard baseball, backyard hockey, backyard soccer, backyard basketball, and then it got worse. Like after all that, like it got progressively worse. So I want to break that down in just a second because there were so many great older players that were in the baseball game, especially the first game, and especially in football. There were so many great older players that like none of the kids now would know. But if you gave me the same style, and I'll talk about this in a second, give me the same style, okay, but give me new age players, I'm totally okay with it. Don't give me the Xbox 360 version, new graphics, it's not the same game, any like that. I want click, have the bat, click, hit the ball, it go crazy, you know what I mean? Football, have the arrow and have like the special plays, like the hocus pocus play or the leapfrog play. Like that was the coolest in itself thing I ever saw. I mean, when you had Sunny Day and Vincent Gooch, okay, talking about sports, that stuff was so great. It was so funny. I mean, I literally enjoyed every bit of it. I never got backyard skateboarding, but I definitely played all the other ones. Chuck Downfield. I mean, what great names for all of these. You had Buddy Check. I mean, come on. Body Check, come on. Barry DJ and Earl Grey, come on. Earl Grey, they named a soccer announcer after a tea, okay? After a brand of tea. That is creative as hell. That is better than the writers of the Ocelot, okay? That is better than the writers of the Rings of Power, okay? That takes talent right there. There were so many great players that were in there, and I want to talk to you about who was your favorite player if you played the game, because I thought it was one of the greatest games ever made. If they had it online, I'd buy it right now, but I think you have to go to some website and download it or whatever, and I don't trust some of these websites that people tell me to go to, so I'm going to leave it at that, okay? I'm going to leave it at that. So like I said before, this is a great website, by the way. This is a great website. AHSFHS.org that will give you everything in itself. It'll give you some basketball facts too around the state of Alabama. There's 7A, 6A, 5A, 4A, all the projections and possible records. There's also movement throughout 7A. in 6A and all the other classifications where certain schools have more people have more kids in their school now, so they have to move up or move down. So if I'm looking down at my specific, hold on, I had it just a second ago. If I'm looking at my specific region, especially in my area with my teams and everything like that, in my Region 4 area, this is where I live. You'll have Albertville, Austin, Bob Jones, Florence, Grissom, Huntsville, James Clemens, and Sparkman. Okay? Granted, guess who's 2-8? Guess who's the second worst team in that region? Yes, my alma mater. But I still think they have great talent. I still think that Coach Dutton can do a lot of good things, maybe upset a few people. They were able to beat Austin a couple years ago. Sparkman always seems to be a thorn. You never know with the Huntsville game. It's either going to be a really close game or Huntsville or Grissom's going to blow out one or the other because one's having a down year. With Jimmy Gay being the new head coach at Huntsville, we don't know what's going to happen with them and everything they got. That's just kind of what you're looking at. I mean, when you look at Region 4, I honestly think it's just going to be either James Clemens or Florence. You know, it just seems like a lot of years. Maybe Austin could go 8-3 like they did. I just don't know. Like, that was their record last year, and apparently that's kind of like more of a projection that they have this year. They have a great home field advantage, but they are beatable. They're a type of team that doesn't like. I mean, they had some studs a couple of years ago at wide receiver, and I didn't understand why they couldn't air it out more. But they were able to run the ball effectively. But it just seems like every year it's probably James Clemens. It's going to be, you know, maybe Austin, maybe Florence. Florence, every single year that we played them was pretty tough. I mean, there were a lot of times that it made it really difficult for us to go to Florence and win a game because they played at Brawley Stadium, and it was like one of the biggest things ever as a high school kid going there. You know, that's like if like nowadays they let them go play at Alabama A&M and some of the games, and just going to that environment and that experience is probably big for some of these kids. So going to like a college stadium and being able to play a football game is pretty intimidating, but it's also pretty cool, especially when you're sitting the sideline and you see all the fans and everything, and it just seems like it feels like you're in like a small college football game, you know. But I mean, Chad McGahee is the head coach of James Clemens. You have, of course, Rich Dutton over at Grissom, Jimmy Gay at Huntsville, Ronnie Watson at Sparkman. You got Kelvis White at Bob Jones. You got Burt Brown at Albertville. You got Jeremy Perkins at Austin. You got Kenny Morrison at Florence, and you got Sean Watson, who was actually a coach at Grissom, assistant coach. Then he went over to Albertville with Coach English, and once that didn't work out, he ended up becoming the head coach of the Columbia Eagles. And I'm going to tell you right now, Columbia is not in 7A. They're in 6A, and it's not going to be fun for Columbia. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They need to be like 4A or 3A. They can't even field more than like 20-something guys on their team. I feel sorry for them because they have to go get shellacked every single year by the teams that are in their area. You know, Lee's going to beat up on them. Mae Jemison's going to beat up on them. They'll have to play a lot of other teams that are in 6A and 5A. So, I mean, it's going to be difficult in a way for them to have a good chance. But when like I said, when you're in a region, okay, with Athens, Coleman, Decatur, Hartselle, Jasper, who, granted, they went 1-9 in 5A Area 5. I mean, you got Muscle Shoals too. And the thing is like when Muscle Shoals, I think, played them, it's just like, well, let's just go ahead and forfeit that game. Running clock in the second half because you're down 45 or 50-0, and it's just not worth it. You go 0-10 in a season, it's just not worth it, you know. It's like every single year that in Region 8 and 6A, we would play Hazel Green. And Hazel Green, once again, 0-10. It's just not right. It's not for them. You know, they're not going to be able to sustain a lot of that success when you're playing Buckhorn, Fort Payne, Gadsden City, which Gadsden City in itself not being in 7A, that's huge for them. Because Gadsden City, I mean, every single year, if it wasn't Albertville in the 7A Region 4, you'd put Gadsden City in 7A Region 3, and it was just like, why in the hell are we doing this? this is not right for them. This isn't fair. But them to go 9-4, 5-0, I mean, that's pretty good for a team that really, when you go down a classification, like if you're a 6A or 7A, like you got to be like there's got to be some wiggle room. Like you got to have to maybe go down one if you're just not winning ball games and it's just an uphill battle every single year for your team to kind of like generate any kind of success about that. I mean, in myself, like my alma mater should be a 6A team or a 5A team. We still struggle against 3A, 4A, 5A teams. It's just rough. We're not a winning program team. What do you want me to say? I'm going to be totally brutally honest with you. I love them to death. I made a graphic to start out week 0 as they're taking on Lee with one of the kids that's on the team. Jordan Miles has a ton of offers. Now, granted, they're not like huge offers. He's got like ECU. He's got a couple other a couple of small ones that he did. But, I mean, in itself, you know, he's made the rounds. He's going. I mean, I think he's smart enough to at least go to college, too, and have a great success as a student. But I think he's kind of an undersized linebacker. He might not have a lot. He might be able to change over to like a secondary position, maybe play some kind of safety position, free safety or something like that if he's a little quicker. But I don't know enough. Like, I have to like really talk to him once I get out there and start experiencing more around them. So it's going to be rough for him. It's going to be one of those things where I just think that some of these teams could benefit if they went down, went up, you know, everything like that. Thompson's going to be Thompson. I mean, I can sit here and look at what they've got and just say, well, it's just going to be Thompson again, you know what I mean? But Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, who went 12-1 and 7-0 in their region, they're coming over from 6A Region 4, and that could be huge. That could be a huge problem for Thompson because Thompson's got to play Prattville, or which they're at a down year. They went 3-7 last year, but Prattville in the past has been a good team. You know, you got Hewitt Trussville who went 9-4. That's still going to be a scrappy team, probably make the playoffs. But Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, who knows? We will go and choke in the ship. Yeah, but I mean, like you've won. The thing is, it's like I went back and like looked at like I went and looked at the history website, and it's like you already have more championships than like most teams have years on their belt. You know what I mean? Or wins in a year. So, like, Thompson is supposed to be that school with that Trent kid. I think that there's a lot of I mean, like Oak Mountain's like Oak Mountain is the worst team in Region 3. But Oak Mountain could go and beat the bottom half of Region 4. You know what I mean? They might be able to beat the bottom half of Region 2. I mean, Robertsdale, who the school is right down the street from my grandparents' old house. Loved having that house. We used to call that the beach house. It was only 20 minutes from the beach. They got to play Mary Montgomery, who went 12-1. They got to play Baker, who went 8-3. Foley is they went 5-5 last year, but they're still a decent program. Davidson went 5-6. Daphne went 6-5. They're still decent programs that I think is going to be more of a challenge in Robertsdale, who went 0-10 last year in 6A. I don't know. Like, could them going up change something? It's kind of like Orange Beach. Like, we just don't know what's going to happen down there. And Gulf, or not Orange Beach, Gulf Shores. Like, we just don't know. Like, there's just, it's up and down. You just when you're looking at the region, you're looking at the teams, it's hard to kind of say, oh yeah, this team's going to be here, this team's going to be there, when there's a lot of different types of stuff that's, you know, going throughout. So anyway, enough about high school. We got a lot of matchups. I think I had, what did I do with it? I had the matchups up just a second ago. I had the list of games. Let me go back and find you again. Hold on one second. Because there's a couple of games that I was going to break down that is going on tonight. So, if it would go to what I had. There we go. Live scoreboard. Tonight you got Welburn and Mumford. You got Geraldine and Sardis. You got Grayson and Thompson. Of course. You got Corner and Winfield. You got Curry and Carbon Hill. Cardova and Oakman. You got Arab and Albertville. I watched Arab last week play Grissom in their Jamboree game. And I'm going to tell you right now, Arab is going to run all over Albertville. They have a great running game. That's going to be their huge focal point this season. Arab's going to be... They could sling it around on Albertville too, but the run game is going to be huge against Albertville, and I just don't see Albertville winning this game. Someone asked me for a point spread on the Grissom Lee game. We're not betting on high school games, okay, you friggin' degenerate. We're not betting on high school games. -3.5. Take Grissom. We're not betting on high school games, okay? That's not going on. That is not happening. So quit it. Stop it. Muscle Shoals, number 18 Muscle Shoals is taking on Gadsden City. Number 20 Ramsey's playing number 5 Parker. Coleman and Bob Jones, that'll be a really good game at Bob Jones tonight. I'm not going to that game at all. I think I was going to end up going tomorrow. I'm going to go to the Grissom. Just for that, I'm taking the over. I know, right? Take the over or take lead to cover. 3 point loss. T.R. Miller's playing Reeltown. Pike Road's playing Prattville. Thorsby's playing Isabella. Southern Prep Academy and Sparta Academy. That's pretty cool. I want to go to Sparta Academy, and I want to see this school. Georgiana versus Greenville. I went by Gordo. Gordo was kind of cool. Fayette County versus Gordo. American Christian Academy versus Tuscaloosa County. Springville's playing Asheville. Spanish Ford's playing Fairhope. Clark County's playing Flomaton. White Plains is playing Talladega. Tarrant's playing Montevallo. Gainesville's playing Moody. And Shaw is playing Smith Station. So tomorrow's games, kind of break down tomorrow's games. Do that real quick. First Academy Christian's playing Chilton Christian Academy. Oxford's playing Central. Banks Academy versus Flint River Academy. Coosa Christian versus Pierce County. You got Northside Methodist Academy versus Patala Charter Academy. You got Mary Montgomery against Pace. You got Elmore County, which Pace is a Tennessee school, I believe. Elmore County is taking on Dadeville. UMS Wright Prep is taking on St. Paul's Episcopal. Milry's playing Citronelle. That was the old team that Coach Massey came from before he came over to the Grissom Tigers. Beauregard and Wetumpka, Glencoe and Southeastern. Priceville's playing Columbia right down the street at old Milton Frank Stadium. That's going to be kind of a barn burner for Priceville, I would think. Rain and Hillcrest. Thompsonville and Leroy. Beulah and Abbeville. Sachs is playing Horseshoe Bend. Chickasaw's playing Robertsdale. Charles Henderson, Pike County. Shelby County, Lincoln. St. Paul II versus Elkmont. That'll be a pretty close game. Elkmont is really, they're young. They're small, but they're young, and it's a small school against a Christian school that's small and has some like skinny guys, but they've got some, they got some athletic guys. But it's going to be two small teams that like to run the ball. It'll probably be like a 17-21 game because they're going to have big runs and they'll score. They'll be able to score on each other, but it'll be like two. They'll probably play to their wits' end to try to see who's the better team for sure. Billingsley versus Greensboro, Mobile Christian versus Chelsea, Victory Christian versus Summerton Christian, Chilton County versus Bibb County. Sparkman is on the road against Spain Park, number 13 Spain Park. Wicksburg is playing Providence Christian, Sweetwater and Southeast Lauderdale, Childersburg. I've been through Childersburg. I love that area. Against Fayetteville, Pinson Valley versus number 2 Central, number 23 Jackson versus number 3 Saraland. Piedmont's taking on Cherokee County. Excel is taking on Lee Scott Academy. Haleyville's taking on West Point Mars Hill Bible and Madison Academy. That is a great week 1 matchup, or week 0 matchup. That'll be really fun. Leeds is taking on Mortimer Jordan. Winona's taking Jackson Olin. Slocum's taking on Houston County. Vestavia Hills is taking Carver Montgomery. Mountain Brook is taking on Demopolis. Pickens, I think Mountain Brook might beat the crap out of Demopolis. But Pickens County, Aliceville, Falkville, Vinemont, Decatur, Buckhorn. That'll be a really good fun game in Newmarket. Mount Zion versus Ranburn. Northside Mountain versus Woodville. I've been through Woodville quite a bit. Briarwood Christian versus Oak Mountain. I think Oak Mountain's going to have not a fun time with Briarwood Christian. Dora versus Minor. Varsity opponent versus Russell Christian Academy. I don't think that's right. Blackshear, Marengo Sylacauga Central of Coosa County. Opelika's playing Benjamin Russell. That's 19 versus number 24. West Blockton Northside. Daleville Sampson. Athens May Jemison. Athens is going to probably run away with it against May Jemison. Sheffield versus Decatur. What is that? Is that I think that is yeah, Decatur Heritage. That's what I was saying. I said it right. Decatur Heritage. Christian Academy. You got McGill Tulane versus Daphne. Jemison, St. Clair County. Appalachian. It's Appalachian. It's not Appalachian. Holly Pond, Macadori, Pleasant Grove, Abbeville Christian Academy versus Evangel Christian. Gunnersville Southside. New Brockton against Pike Liberal Arts. Central versus Culver County. DAR against Brindley Mountain. Jacksonville Etowah. Wadley against Comer. Cleveland against Whitesburg Christian Academy. That'll be a really good one right down the road as well. East Lawrence versus Lawrence County. Vincent versus Winterboro. Holt versus Hatch. Plainview Christian versus Marshall Christian Academy. Linden versus Fultondale. Central of Clay County versus Hanley. Tanner versus Ardmore. Victory Christian Unity Christian Academy. Cornerstone Christian Lighthouse Homeschool. Donahoe versus Galeysville. Addison versus Winston County. Brewer versus Hayden. Elba versus Laverne. I've been through Laverne. Lafette, not Lafayette. Lafette. Say it with me. Lafette. Elwood Christian. Chambers Academy. Starkville Academy. Choctaw Watachi. Choctaw Wachachi. Choctaw Wachi versus Gulf Shores. Rocky Bayou Christian versus Snoop Christian Academy. Carroll versus Russell County. Cedar Bluff Valleyhead. Hueytown. Clay Chalkville. Lauderdale Lexington. Springwood Southern Christian. Baker Theodore. Kinston versus Zion Chapel. Verbena versus Holy Spirit Catholic. Crenshaw Academy. Crenshaw Christian Academy versus Fort Dale Academy. Mackenzie Wilcox Central. Montgomery Catholic. You got St. versus St. James, Jasper Brookwood, Pelham versus Pell City. I think Pelham might have a run for their money against Pell City. Pisgah versus Fairview, Eider versus Section, Meek versus Land, Dallas County versus Marion, Medfield Huffman, Evangel Christian Academy versus Ezekiel Academy, North Jackson, Sylvania. Don't call them the light bulbs or you'll look like a jackass. Weaver against Oak Grove, Jacksonville Christian Academy, Tuscaloosa Christian, Bessemer Academy versus South Choctaw Academy, Jackson Academy versus Hooper Academy, Madison County versus Boaz, Viger versus Blunt, Ashford versus Rehoboth, and Woodland versus Randolph County, Sandrock Spring Garden, Marbury, Stanhope Elmore, Fort Payne Scottsboro. That'll be a really good game. There it is, Lee and Grissom, Genova. I thought Grissom was away. They had it backwards. Geneva County versus Pleasant Home, East Central Homeschool versus North River Christian, Monroe County versus Florala, Park Crossing versus Selma, Booker T. Washington, Eufaula, Sumter Central versus Choctaw County, St. Michael Catholic. I think St. Michael Catholic is where I have actually two former football players. That is over at the Phillip Rivers team. And I got two kids over there coaching over there. Enterprise Andalusia. Aniana. It's not one Anna. It's Aniana. Locust Fork, Keith versus Calhoun. Northridge for Calera. Had grandparents lived there too in Calera. Hale County versus Pickens Academy. Tallahassee versus Montgomery Academy. Pleasant Valley, West End, Asbury Gaston. Trinity Presbyterian versus Holtville. McIntosh versus Satsuma. Tharptown versus... I always like the name Tharptown. I think that's a pretty cool town. Tharptown versus Danville. Deshler versus Russellville. East Limestone versus Western Christian Academy, or Westminster Christian Academy. Louis LeBlanc, former Nick Saban graduate assistant and everything like that. What a great head coach. Just a great man. Gave me the chance to be a defensive coordinator for their middle school. So that was really cool to be able to help him for a season. Cold Springs versus Hansville. Center Point versus Bessemer City. Schultz Christian versus Belgreen. Foley versus Baldwin County. Strawn versus Highland Home. Homewood versus John Carroll Catholic. New Hope versus Ohatchee. That'd be a fun game. Michael Harper, if you're listening, watching, good luck to you, sir, and your first year as the New Hope head coach. Probably going to go there next week to see them play DAR. Valley versus Glenwood, Clemens versus West Limestone, Geneva against Goshen, Sulligent versus Marion County, Central versus Tuscaloosa County, Washington County versus Cottage Hill Christian Academy, Southern Academy versus Morgan Academy, Jag versus Hewitt-Trussville, Escambia County versus Alabama Christian Academy, Headland versus Dale County, Florence versus Hillcrest, Sipsey Valley versus Greene County, Wilcox Academy against Clark Prep, Booker T. Washington, Williamson, Gardendale versus James Clemens. They've been doing that a lot lately, having James Clemens and Gardendale. That's a kind of fun matchup right there. Lamar County versus South Lamar. Huntsville's taking on Hazel Green. That'll be a good matchup for Huntsville. They'll probably run away with it at Hazel Green, but Hazel Green is not fun to play at. Their fans are rowdy. Their fans come out for sure. The whole town comes out for Hazel Green, no matter who the head coach is. So they got a lot of support. West Morgan versus Randolph. Randolph's going to have another great year under David Lloyd. I think they have a tough matchup against West Morgan. Orange Beach, which basically you can just pay players to come down there and play. Or I'm sorry, that's Gulf Shores against Alberta. Houston Academy versus Long, Pennington, Susan Moore, Rogers versus Wilson, LaFleur versus Fairfield, Murphy versus Davidson, Austin versus Hartselle, Austin and Hartselle, that'll be a good game. Colbert Heights and Cherokee, Percy Julian against Paul W. Bryant, Woodlawn versus Shades Valley, North Miami Beach versus Prattville Christian Academy, North Miami Beach versus Auburn, Prattville Christian Academy against Ottagaville. Is that Chili's against Dothan. Maybe it's Charles. I think it's Charles. Charles versus Dothan. Randolph Clay versus Cottonwood. Chili's, baby back ribs. That was way too many teams, and that was way too much time. But we were going to break it all down. We were going to tell you what's going on a Friday and Saturday, or a Thursday and Friday night. So a lot of great matchups around that. There's the list of backyard sports. Wow. Who was one of your favorite characters? Chili's versus Applebee's. Ooh. Applebee's. 2 for $20. Applebee's. They got better drinks too, Applebee's. Unless you know the person at Chili's, then the drinks are better at Chili's. Because, I used to know someone that used to work at Chili's, and they would go there when they got off, and they knew people that worked there, so they'd make good drinks. But Applebee's with the food. 2 for $20. Gotta have it. Back to backyard baseball, or backyard sports. You had a list of great original characters, right? You had Ahmed Khan, okay? You had Tony Del Vecchio, all right? You had Dmitry Petrovich, okay? You had Stephanie Morgan, all right? Kenny Kawaguchi, all right? Pablo Escobar. It's not Pablo Escobar. But you had some of the best players. I thought was one of the coolest things ever. And I think that they should keep doing this. Where, give me more. Nothing beats $1 PBR, that's true. I want to see the same game. Give me the same game with these characters. Same aspect. Okay? But give me, like you used to, where you had a bunch of former football and former baseball, hockey, soccer players. All right? In the baseball one, you had honestly, you had Derek Jeter, you had Chipper Jones, you had Jason Giambi, okay? I'm not even looking at anything right now because I had it up in front of me and I don't know what I did with it. They had a bunch of list of the former, the professional players that they had in it. I mean, in itself, backyard baseball, just the list was cool. I had it. I literally had I had it up. In football, in 1999, okay, you had Barry Sanders, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, Jerry Rice, John Elway. His name is not John Elway, by the way. Don't be a clown. John Elway, Randall Cunningham, Steve Young, and Drew Bledsoe. I know it's Pablo Sanchez. I love him to death. Stud. Wasn't very good in football, though. He was just fast. Backyard baseball. You ready for this? Cal Ripken Jr., Nomar Garciaparra, Derek Jeter, Jose Canseco, Vladimir Guerrero, Sr., Frank Thomas, Juan Gonzalez, Carlos Beltran. Didn't he retire like last year? Matty Cordova. Okay? Mo Vaughn, Jason Giambi, Pudge Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, Chipper Jones, Alex Gonzalez, Mike Piazza, Kurt Schilling, Sammy Sosa, King Griffey Jr., I think you've heard of him before, Barry Larkin, Jeff Bagwell, Jeremy Burnitz, Jason Kendall, Mark McGuire, Larry Walker, Randy Johnson, Sean Green, Tony Gwynn, Barry Bonds, Kenny Lofton, and Raul Mondesi. Raul Mondesi was like one that, like, I think at the time you really kind of had to know who that person was. In backyard soccer, here's some names that you might know. Kobe Jones, LA Galaxy, right? Now, granted, this was in 2004, so some of these players, Landon Donovan, you know what I mean? These weren't as good. Carlos Valderrama, he was a MLS player. A lot of these were MLS. This is the MLS edition, so like these were like MLS players. So you kind of had to know who some of these players were. Brian McBride. Backyard baseball in 2003 had Albert Pujols, okay? Who is a different, they had Ichiro. I had that one. Phil Nevin. Let's see. Carlos Delgado. Jeff Conine. Jimmy Rollins. Cliff Floyd. Jason Kendall. Bobby Higginson. Troy Gloss. Remember Troy Gloss? John Elkway. Yeah, I heard someone say his name Elway today, and I about vomited in my mouth. Greg Vaughn, Todd Helton. Todd freaking Helton. I hate the University of Tennessee. I hate Vols fans, but I love Todd Helton. Absolute beast. Richie Sexton. I mean, come on, man. Jeff Bagwell, again. Backyard hockey in 2002, whether you knew him or not. Jaromir Jagr. All right? Steve Yzerman. I mean, these are dudes that, like, I grew up kind of watching some of Mike Modano. All right? You'd have to know some of these to even know who was actually on the team. In backyard football, all right, you ready for this? You have Brian Urlacher, Curtis Martin, David Boston. This was 2004, by the way. Donovan McNabb, Jeff Garcia, Jerome Bettis, Marshall Falk, Marvin Harrison, Michael Vick, and Zach Thomas. Yeah. Carlos Valderrama is really freaking good in real life. That's the reason why I think he had that, you know what I mean? Backyard hockey in 2005, you had Nicholas Lindstrom, you had Jagr, you had Peter Forsberg, Mike Modano. A lot of great names on here. NBA series, you had Lisa Leslie, Kevin Garnett, Blake Griffin, Carmelo Anthony, Damian Lillard. So these are some of the newer ones. I didn't play any of that. Once that 2005 hit, I started playing that GameCube, baby. And then I got the Xbox whenever that came out. There were a lot of great players in this thing. And that's one game that, like, I would love to be. If somebody is really good at, like, drawing, or is really good at maybe Backyard Sports will see this and, like, hear my plea. Please make me a character. Make me a not in the game, but just have somebody that's a really good artist and make me in the game. That would be so cool. Maybe with my Trash Pandas hat, I don't know. Maybe with like a Braves jersey, that would be cool. Maybe make me a dork. I don't care. Just put me in that game. I'm just kidding. Don't put me in the game, but make me a character that I can put on my Twitter account or my X account, and I can put in my profile picture, because I think that's absolutely cool. I think that would be so cool. I saw some other people getting that, and I'm like, the only way they got it is because they're, like, professionals. They're, like, a professional athlete, or they're, like, in some professional market or whatever. So, of course, they got it. But they don't deserve it, because I grew up on this game. I wish I still had the discs. I wish I could say more about it. But, like, that game, NFL Street, NFL Blitz, NHL Hits, I mean, holy moly. Bring back some of those games. Slugfest? Slugfest 2. That's the reason why I quit playing backyard baseball. Slugfest 2003? I'm watching people now play it, and they're like amazed by it. I'm like, yeah, it was Blitz, but baseball. And baseball was fun when everybody was doing steroids. That's the reason why you had games like Slugfest come out. Plus, it was Midway trying to make a bunch of money as possible. Midway was just trying to make money because they did hits, they did NFL Blitz, they did the Slugfest game. So that was why. And then you had NFL Street, which after the first game it was dog shit. I'm sorry, like the game was just dog shit after the original. You really couldn't go on from there, like, and you really can't tell me you could because it wasn't fun. It was not fun at all to watch and be a part of. So before we get into our breakdown, there has been some news earlier today. I woke up this morning as a Falcons fan and found out that AJ Terrell is going to get a 4-year, $81 million deal. $65.8 million of that is guaranteed. He was owed like $12.35 or something like that. So they got him locked term. There's a lot of people saying that he's getting great money, but he's a good corner. All right. He's a second-team All-Pro in 2021. He has 247 tackles, 43 passes defended. He's got 4 interceptions and 1 sack in 4 seasons. In the last 2 seasons, he's had 0 interceptions. So he's not really the ball hawk that you think he is, but he is definitely the number 1 corner that goes after the number one wide receiver. So whoever's going to be on the other side of the ball at the other corner position, whether it's Mike Hughes, whether it's Kevin King, Clark Phillips, maybe that happens. We'll see. But you got to lock this guy down. But then now you got to figure out what you're going to do going forward. Are you going to sign Matthew Judon to a couple of years? Could you sign Justin Simmons to another year? I don't know. Matthew Judon kind of has to play for a contract. He's an older guy too. After next season, that guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins, you could get him. You could say bye bye before year 3. So I think it's great. I wasn't a big fan of him when they drafted him, but AJ Terrell has slowly become the number 1. I mean, like just like one of the best corners in the NFL right now, and that's just the market. He became the second highest cornerback getting paid. So it's a great move by the Falcons. Now keep Grady Jarrett. Now keep whoever else. Make some adjustments around the defense so you can keep, so you can't keep. You're going to have to pay some people. Kyle Pitts might be gone. I don't know. We'll have to see. I doubt it. But you're going to have to make some moves, and then you're going to have to just don't go into cap hell like normal and end up having to pay like Kirk Cousins $45 million to go away like they did Matt Ryan. They paid him like $40 million. They paid him $40 million to go to the Colts. They paid Calvin Ridley $11 million to get signed by the Titans. Or the Jags, I think it was, or whatever at the time. So, pretty stupid. Pretty stupid. Pretty stupid. All right. So now, because I wanted to break all that down, and like I said before, I just wanted to kind of like break down that whole backyard sports thing because I just think that it's so cool. I think that's absolutely awesome. Like I said, give me some new age players. You know, give me some of the players of now. Aaron Judge, Ronald Acuna. You know what I mean? Like Marcell Ozuna. I mean, they're not going to, but Bryce Harper. I mean, kids are going to pay for it. I mean, kids are going to buy it if it's Bryce Harper. You know, Ronald Acuna, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani. You could have Shohei could be one of the best players in that game in baseball. Football, you could have Aaron Donald, even though even though he's not playing, but like you could have had Aaron Donald. You know what I mean? Could have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, just imagine you could have Aaron Rodgers back in the day, Julio Jones back in the day, Drew Brees back in the day. I mean, come on. Like, what the hell were we thinking, man? Why aren't we back to what I want, what we have? Like, I'm not a kid, but I want to play this game. You know what I mean? Like now, you could have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, right? Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson would be like he would be backyard football. You know what I mean? He'd have glasses on. He'd probably have his like gold teeth in or whatever. Like it'd be cool. You got to see the kid side of these players. So just give me something like that. Give me a linebacker or two. Give me AJ Terrell. You know what I mean? And give me some players that aren't going to be fun to play with and new age players, but give me the old game. Give me the old style. Give me the old announcers. Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce, George Kittle. What about Kittle? Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. If they had Michael Vick in one game, you could have Lamar Jackson. Kirk Cousins. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, just give me some good guys that I want to sit here and watch play, you know? Ben Roethlisberger would have been a good one. He would have been like a little fat kid, like, you know what I mean? But he would have been like, his arm strength would have been like through the roof. His speed would have been like a 1, half a 1. But his arm strength would have been like a 5, 5.5. So, let's get on to it. Let's get on to our predictions and everything that we have for the AFC and NFC South. I know that we wanted to have... I know that Yorkie wanted to be a part of this. So when we transition over to... Let me change the default real quick. When we change over to the NFC South, maybe he'll join the chat, give his 2 cents on what I had to say. He can also be a part of it if you want to as well. You can join the chat right now. I am in the Discord chat, so if you want to join the Discord chat, you're more than welcome to. I think I still have it copied right here. Nope, that's the YouTube. Don't do that. Don't do that. We've already been on that. Let's see here. Invite people. Copy. It is in the chat. There's the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, you want to be a part of the Coach Grizzle Squad, the bench, you want to join the bench, you are more than welcome. I am in there right now. Give him 3 minutes to clock out, and Captain Yorkie will give his 2 cents on his NFC South predictions, which we know is total dog crap. Just kidding. So as we're looking at the AFC South, we'll kind of kill some time, kill those 3 minutes that he needs. As we're looking at the NFC or the AFC South, granted the Texans and the Jaguars, it wasn't a great year last year for both Souths. Last year, you had the Texans at 10-7. You had the Jaguars at 9-8, the Colts surprisingly at 9-8, and the Will Levis-led Tennessee Titans at 6-11. Now, granted, no Derrick Henry for the Titans. What up, 2 Bourbon? Now, granted, no Will Levis for the Titans, but I still think they've got a. I think let's say Will Levis. No Derrick Henry for the Titans. I still think with Will Levis, Treylon Burks, DeAndre Hopkins, if he plays, they still have a great defense in Simmons. They still have a great back end that's kind of like, they've got some vets, but they've also got some questionable younger guys that like Roger McCreary, for instance. I thought he was really great at Auburn. I thought that was an absolute steal by the Titans. But we'll have to see going forward what the back end for the Titans is going to be like. I still think they have a chance to go 10-7 in their own division. I think the Jaguars are going to take a step back and go 6-11 because what'll happen is I feel like they're going to play Trevor Lawrence for the first like 4 or 5 games, and they're going to realize that he's a fraud and that he was just really good in college and he's not a very good NFL quarterback, and then it's going to be Mac Jones time. And Mac Jones might be able to win 2 or 3 more games. Maybe they go in a different direction. Shoot, What happens if Mac Jones just takes over that team and they're just worse? You know what I mean? Like, their defense is still going to be pretty good. They're still going to be competitive within the South. That's the reason why a lot of them have really good I mean, even though a couple of them are negative and under 500, they still have decent records. That was like they're competitive. Sounds like they're competitive. They're going to beat some guys. I think the thing about the Jaguars is I had so many teams in my other predictions that could possibly beat the Jaguars that they could end up beating some of those teams that I said they could end up losing to. I know, but I just think that, like, he was a rookie, and I think second time around, second year, I think he'll get it right. I still think he has some great teams around him. They were able to throw the ball around in preseason with the backups. You know what I mean? With Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis. And I don't even think Malik Willis is going to be on the team. How would you rank the QBs in the division in the AFC South? I mean, I would say, obviously, CJ Stroud's number 1. Number 2 would be Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Mac Jones. No, I'm just kidding. Trevor Lawrence. I still think if Anthony Richardson didn't get hurt, the Colts still went 9-8. You know what I mean? I still think they could go down a hill a little bit because I think the Texans are getting there better. You got a great head coach, got CJ Stroud, you got Joe Mixon at running back, you got a great defense. So they've got really, really good weapons on offense at wide receiver position. So I really think that, he's in here now. I'm just going to mute him now. Oh, maybe that's me. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'll get you in a second. Hold on 1 second. I just think that we're gonna have to see what happens. Trevor Lawrence, maybe, man. Mac Jones might be the starting quarterback for real. What's the thinking of Atlas being so bad? You talking about Atlanta? I think Atlanta's gonna be so bad, or of T Law being so bad? I don't think he's so bad. I just think that, like, he had to play in that. They played him in the preseason game. I think they still don't know what they have. Mac Jones is making some runs in the preseason. So I don't know. I think you got a great 1-2 in case, like, Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, and then you got Mac Jones. Mac Jones just didn't benefit at all from the team he was on because he had pencil eater and a special teams coordinator as his offensive coordinators. So I think that's just kind of like, in itself, it's going to be kind of rough to be able to talk about that and to see which way we're going to go. So we're going to bring him in now. Those are my predictions for the AFC South. They're not everybody's. That's why they're called my predictions. But surprisingly enough, he has a horrid line, which has been his Achilles heel. Mac Jones is a fraud. I don't think Mac Jones is a fraud. He had one of the best statistic years better than Joe Burrow in 2020. Now, granted, he played 10 games and it was COVID, but he played 10 SEC games, okay? And the man had one of the best statistics as a quarterback ever as a quarterback. And then everyone dogged him about where he would get drafted. And then everybody in that draft is really not that great. So don't tell me that Mac Jones isn't a very good quarterback when I've seen him do stellar things. And if you put him in the right offense, now he's down where he lives. You know what I mean? He's from Jacksonville. He's set. So now, let's bring on our first guest. We have Yarky. Let me see if I can put him on the thing real quick, too. Let me see if I can get this image to work for him. I might be able to. I'm doing this all by myself because I don't have a producer. A lot easier to do it this way. We're going to put him on the top. Right here. He's going to be on the top in between the Falcons. Right here. There he is. There he is, everybody. Getting off work, having to join us right now. He probably can't hear me right now because I'm talking on the other end. But it is Mr. Yorkie joining us as he wants to talk about what I have the predictions. Yes, I do have 5-12, third in the NFC South third, by the way, in the NFC South. Not last, not dead last like a lot of people have. They have the Panthers actually above your team, man. How do you feel about that? Well, I don't hear you. What? Are you muted? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. I didn't mute you.
Yeah, not too great.
He's not too great. Why is that? No, why is that? Why is it not too great?
Because, no, I don't think they should be the number one team because we have a lot of work to do, but I think we're getting there. The Saints' biggest thing is the head coach and Dennis Allen, in my opinion. He's not doing what he was set out to do, which, I mean, he did have some big shoes to take over for and everything, but I feel like they should at least be number two. The way I see it, I see the Bucks at number one, Saints number two, Atlanta three, and the Panthers four because the Panthers just suck.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
there's no hope.
Yeah, and I just think that a lot of people feel like that they're I feel like some people are just maybe not giving Bryce Young enough credit. You don't have any weapons around you. The defense isn't like it used to be. It's just hard to kind of like really predict what is going to happen for Bryce Young as a professional quarterback, but also like being the franchise quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. You know what I mean? And it's not a franchise that's really known for winning in itself either way. I mean, they had the dismal, crazy, messed up loss against the Patriots. You had the crazy run of 15-1 and that one single loss to the Atlanta Falcons in the regular season, but also the MVP year with Cam Newton. And then after that Super Bowl, Cam Newton fell off the face of the earth. So, I mean, it's difficult to kind of say, yeah, they're going to be so bad because every single year I watch this NFC South. When we talk about teams who like to beat up on each other, these teams can't get out of each other's way. I mean, you had two teams at 9-8, and then the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers squeak by and then go embarrass the damn Eagles in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's just you don't ever know what's with this team, and everyone wants to dog Baker Mayfield, but yet Baker Mayfield is very dangerous apparently playing for the Tampa Bay Bucks. They still have Chris Godwin. They still have Mike Evans. They're still a great offensive team, even though Mike Evans is getting there in years, especially Chris Godwin too. But I mean, they still have a great defense.
Of course, Baker Mayfield's going to do good. He got to sit behind Tom Brady for a whole year. So, I mean, yeah, of course, he had the greatest teacher to teach him.
Yeah. No, you're right. No, you're completely right.
I mean, that's just the way I see it. You had a good teacher. You watched what he did. You learned his ways. You took some things from him and made them your own and did what you could do with it. So, yeah, of course Tampa Bay is going to be unstoppable when it counts.
I mean, you got a top 10 defense, like almost like it's like one of the best top 10 defenses in the league every year. Like especially when Tom Brady took over, they were 9th the year before. So it was just like,
right.
and then you get Devin White in the draft, and you're just like, oh yeah, well we're set. I mean, it's just crazy how it kind of lines up like that. And then this is why my prediction is at 11-6 with the Falcons, because realistically, if Kirk Cousins is remotely good with this offense that he has, this is another veteran quarterback who's stunk for other teams, finally is getting a bunch of weapons, is finally getting a pretty good defense. This is one of the best defenses Grady Jarrett said he ever played on, or one of the best teams he's ever played on, because on paper it's the most talented. But they did make the Super Bowl one year that he was playing. But at the end of the day, like, this is a team that has a pretty good run defense. The passing defense isn't that great, but then you just signed A.J. Terrell to a crazy freaking deal. And then you're getting everybody that you're doing on the back end with Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons. You don't know who's going to be the other corner. But the linebacking core is solid. The defensive line is solid as long as Grady Jarrett stays healthy. And that's the reason why I kind of say, like, the Saints kind of fall off a little bit, because it's not this. I'm not afraid of the defense anymore for the Saints. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of the defense for the Carolina Panthers. I'm afraid of the Bucks because of what the Bucks were able to do last year. There were so many times, even under Desmond Ridder, that the Falcons should have ended up winning a lot of those games.
Well, here's my thing with the going to the defense, just strictly looking at the defense. I mean, the defense, the Saints defense, we still got a strong linebacker core, and we have strong defensive ends. Secondary, the rest of the secondary is not that great. Corners, safeties, they pretty much have to hold you every play just to play on defense. So I get what you're saying in that aspect, but like I said, linebackers and ends, we're still pretty solid there. So if we can put enough pressure on the quarterback and make the quarterback make the mistakes, then I could see it being okay for us having crappy corners and crappy safeties.
Well, I mean, realistically, you shouldn't probably talk about one of those corners, Kool-Aid McKinstry, because I would think that like you might be, on board to like cheer for the guy, maybe.
I'm looking as a whole team, not just an individual player.
Right. You're looking outside of your college fandom, and you're more like you're talking about your team as a whole. Now, I get it. I thought Jason McClellan was a nice addition.
I'm putting fandom aside. I'm putting football fan first.
Yeah, no, of course. Like, that's the reason why I think, even with Jason McClellan, like, I still, like I say before, like, the Falcons have one of the best running back rooms I've ever seen, because it literally is, on paper, one of the most talented running backs rooms I've ever seen, like, as a fan. So, I want Jason McClellan to do really well as a supporter and a fan of Alabama, but, like, I want to see effectiveness, you know what I mean? I want to see, like,
right.
It's like the year that I watched Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, and Ito Smith. It's like Ito Smith had some flashes, and he looked really good, but it was like he couldn't be the backup if Tevin Coleman was gone, or he could, both of them getting hurt and then him having to play. It's like his time to shine, and he got a chance, but it was like, as a whole, that whole running back room just couldn't stay healthy. So it was like, once Tevin Coleman was gone and moved on to the 49ers, I was just kind of like, okay, well, we'll have to see what happens with Devontae Freeman, because now we're set on his stupid deal after that, or they're set on his stupid deal they gave him. So
now, and the thing that I have a problem with, I don't have a problem per se with your pick. Is pretty solid, I guess. I don't think the Falcons will go 11-6, just because I don't think their quarterback situation is as good as they want it to be. Don't get me wrong. Kirk's a good quarterback. Y'all have an okay backup, but I don't think he's going to play as much a factor as y'all are hoping that he does.
Well, when I look at your offense as well, the only guy that even scares me, I mean, Alvin Kamara is getting there in years, okay?
Oh, no. Our running back core is horrible.
Yeah, is Derek Carr going to suck again? You know what I mean? Like, is he going to be the Derek Carr of old, like normal, like we see? Or is he going to have some weird revitalized career after the one bad season in the Saints? You got Chris Olave at wide receiver. I mean, you got some pieces, but you've got, like, no world beaters. You know what I mean? The Falcons have the world beaters on offense. Allegedly.
And allegedly on paper, you're right. You're right in all of that aspect. But the way I see it, Derek Carr can work really well in this offense that the Saints runs. He just had to pretty much take last year and use last year as a learning of the new offense for Derek Carr. And now that he knows it, he can run it. Because you gotta be honest with me. At the end of the season, Derek Carr did 10 times better than he did at the beginning of the season. Once he started learning that offense.
I forgot I had it muted. I was trying to like make sure I had it muted, because I don't have my headset on, so like people could probably hear double take. So I was just trying to make sure I muted it while you were talking. So I didn't want to be rude. But I mean, the thing is Taysom Hill going to get a bunch of snaps? Is he going to get in the way? He
doesn't need a bunch of snaps.
Yeah, but you're going to play him at every position possible, though, and you're going to put him in there at every little running game if you're not throwing the ball, you're going to put him in there for short yardage gains.
Yes, and it's not going to work. They have overused Taysom Hill to the point to where it's not going to work anymore. What they need to do is put him out there still, but just use him as a distraction, because they're going to lean towards him, and that'll leave another man open downfield, or do a jet sweep where he's the one that they fake it to and they hand it off to somebody else. If I was running the offense, that's what I would do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like I said, I look back at your defense. So I mean, you got the Honey Badger and Tyrann Mathieu, which he's playing great as an older guy, an older veteran guy. Marshawn Lattimore.
But you just said it right there. He's an older guy.
Yeah, that's the thing that scares me is like when you're sitting here telling me, and I get it. Like I've heard some people online talk about how like just like crazy to think that the Saints are even going to go better and everything like that because of all the older players. Cameron Jordan, how many more years are you going to have Cameron Jordan on that defensive line? You know what I mean? Like it's tough to say that the Saints are not going to that are going to be pretty good this year, because years past I've always been kind of afraid of them with Sean Payton as head coach and Drew Brees and all the talent that they've had around them. But now, like, Dennis Allen does not scare me anymore, man. Like, he's had his chances as a head coach in the past, and it's not been good. And it hasn't been, and it wasn't good last year. And I just think that it's skeptical to say that to sit here and be like, yeah, they could go 9-8 or they could go 10-7.
You know, at first I liked the idea of Dennis Allen being the head coach just because he was under Sean Payton for so long. And, you know, he kind of learned a little, well, I thought he did anyway. But once he took over, it was like a completely new team. He didn't take anything that Sean Payton established there. And, you know, I'm not trying to hate on my team, but we're turning back into the bag over the head New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. And that's the thing. It's like you never want to be negative on your team. You don't want to be like, oh, they could, they could do this. You don't want to be like that kid on Twitter that I saw last night that was he got interviewed and he was an Oakland Raiders fan, Las Vegas Raiders fan. And the guy went up to him and he goes, well, what are your predictions on this season? And he's like, we're not going to the Super Bowl. He's like, well, Doug, we know you're not going to the Super Bowl. Like, we know that they're not good. Even Antonio Pierce, I'm not big sold on him. I don't think he's going to be that great of a coach for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think you need a big time name. Maybe Mike Vrabel goes to Las Vegas and he becomes the Raiders head coach or something like that in the future. I'm not sold on Antonio Pierce. I'm not sold on Dennis Allen. I'm not sold on whoever the hell the Panthers coach is. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of freaking crazy to sit here and be like, oh yeah, this is all going to work out when. I mean, a lot of these teams, it's like I'm kind of skeptical on Raheem Morris at times. You know what I mean? I've seen the first stint, and I get it. He was taken over as an interim, but I gotta see it. I gotta see it going forward. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. It's like Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's a great defensive coordinator. Got to the Falcons in the Super Bowl in the first 4 seasons, but. Can Raheem Morris do it? I mean, he's supposed to with all these additions and everything like that. You've got the keys, but see, the thing is Dan Quinn had the keys. He had Matt Ryan. Everyone wants to talk about Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan had all the talent in the world, and he still couldn't beat the Aints. He still couldn't beat the Panthers. He'd lose one of the 2 games against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers wouldn't even have a quarterback. So, I mean, it's just it's kind of skeptical to say who's going to be. This is why. It's like every single year, I know who's going to be the worst in the MLB. You got the 2 Centrals. They're just, to me, are always the worst to me. They're not competitive. And then the 2 Souths and the NFC and the AFC. Because every single year that these teams go and try to, like the Colts won the Super Bowl, cool. That's awesome. You know what I mean? Tampa Bay Bucks, Saints, they won the Super Bowl, yeah. The Falcons and Panthers have been there, yeah. But when you go look at last year and look at these records, 9-8, 9-8, 7-10, and then 2-15, I mean, the NFC South has not been fun to watch. It's like in years past, everyone's always bitching and complaining about how good the Braves are, but then the rest of the division is dog shit. So, I mean, it's just, because the Phillies weren't as good as they have been in the last decade, or really, I guess the last couple of years they've been good. But then the Mets, too. Like, the Mets went to the freaking World Series, too, and they've fallen off the face of the earth ever since.
Right. And you bring up a good point with the whole NFC South, AFC South thing. Remember, what was it, like 5-6 years ago when the NFC South team went into the playoffs with a losing record? Like,
I mean, how about when the Seahawks did it? When the Seahawks did it, and it's like, oh, they're 7-9, and they go out and they beat a team. It's like that, like last year, right there. The Tampa Bay Bucks should not have even made the playoffs last year. To be honest with you, the Falcons should have won the division last year. They had too many games that they were supposed to win, and they lost against like the Vikings, you know what I mean? Or the Bears. And it's just like, when you're sitting here watching some of these games and you're like, or the Titans, you really shouldn't be losing some of these games, and going 7-10 is different than 9-8. You know what I mean? Because then that's 3 9-8 teams right there. But then you had all these different losses, losing to the Bucks, losing to the Saints. You know what I mean? Barely squeaking by the Panthers. You can't have that. Like, you have, like, with this team, on paper, if I'm looking at these predictions, like, the Falcons have to go 11-6. They have to go 12-5. You can't compare this team to being one of the best. You can't say this is one of the best teams you've ever played on in Grady Jarrett for the Atlanta Falcons and not go 13-4. I mean, you have to be one of the best teams in the NFC.
But
and the
with that
NFC's
being
down.
said,
You got to be over the NFC.
right. You know, with that being said, with the NFC South being the way it is, when it comes down to crunch time, head to head, you know, Bucks Falcons, Saints Falcons, Bucks Panthers, those games are actually really good to watch because it's hard hitting, you know, I'm better than you football. You know, Saints Falcons, it's like the Iron Bowl of the NFC South, and it happens twice a year.
Yeah. And it's one of the most heated rivals, and I think, especially now, especially in the last like 20 years, is definitely one of those rivalries within the NFL that it's like they hate each other. Absolutely hate each other, ground and pound, beat the crap out of each other. But it's like, the thing is, it's like none of these teams can get out of their own way. It's like when one team's supposed to be better than the other. It's like, yeah, we might see, like last year, we might see the Chiefs lose to the Broncos or something like that, which they did. They'll lose to the Raiders, which they did. But you didn't expect that. You know what I mean? Like, you expect one of these teams to beat the crap out of each other or beat one of these teams in some weird fashion because it's like they just can't figure it out. It's like with the AFC South, like, as bad as those teams have been historically for the last so many years, except for maybe the Colts. Like, that's every single year you're like, oh, the Colts are going to win that division. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially now, you know, the Chiefs are going to win that division. Or the AFC East, you know, the Patriots are going to win. Now I don't know who's going to win. It could be I said, it could be the Jets, it could be the Dolphins, whatever. When I look at this in years past, it was supposed to be either the Saints or the Falcons. And then you had Cam Newton in that one year. Then you had Tampa Bay getting better throughout the year. Tampa Bay has 2 Super Bowls since then. So it's like you don't know every single year who's going to win this division, but you also don't know who's going to be bad and who's going to be good, whether it looks good or looks bad on paper or not.
Right. You're completely right there. You know, and that's why I feel like, you know, if the NFC South, I mean, yeah, we're competitive, but we're not competitive when it comes to outside of our own division. You know what I mean? Like they keep all the competitiveness in division, and then when they go play, you know, teams that they should demolish, they end up losing to them because they come in so confident that they're going to win it because they're too competitive against their own kind. You know. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, it hurts the NFC South. It makes us look weak when actually we're one of the stronger divisions.
That's the reason why, like I said before, like in years past, when you go look at the NL East, like you don't want to play the Phillies. Like you may not want to play the Mets on a July day or August or something like that. But the Braves are still going to be winning that division no matter what. Like, you know that they're going to end up staying on top of that division, winning it. But the thing is, guess where you're going to get one of those wild card teams? You're going to get one of those wild card teams out of the East, and you're not going to want to play one of those teams, especially now. If the Braves keep winning and stay on top of where they're at, they're not going to want to play the Braves. Nobody's going to want to play the Braves, especially if they can get Albies and Austin Riley back.
Yep, if we can get rid of this injury bug that we got going on right now, we should be fine.
Yeah, it's tough, but like if you the thing about it, the playoffs is if you got quality pitching, and I think the Braves do, And like years, like especially in 2021, you just had a stellar bullpen doing what they were doing. Will Smith having one of his best like careers ever, and then going on to win back-to-back World Series with the Braves and the freaking Astros. You know, it's just like you gotta have to have. I mean, Tucker Davidson, with the way that he was just able to come in, and I don't even think he's in the league anymore. You know what I mean? There's dudes that like. It's just like Jorge Soler, for instance. He's back. He's hitting. That's the whole thing is like you wanted that to happen, but like you don't know if he can play field right now. He's basically just batting sparingly. Maybe put him at DH and let Marcell Ozuna play a little outfield every now and then. You know what I mean? Like even though we hate watching that, but if you want to at least put a bat to ball and see if Jorge Soler can maybe hit it without getting hurt. And then holding that down the stretch. I mean, that's something's huge. That the Braves made the right additions for sure when it came to the bats. They just didn't expect to lose all those other guys. And like I said before in other podcasts, it's like some of these other teams would not be able to like sustain what they're doing right now. What the Braves are doing, so it gives Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit for like making the deals that he has and what he's been able to do, kind of keeping that core team around.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're completely right there. And that mentality is a mentality that the NFL needs to start using instead of, I wish that you could take the trades and stuff that the MLB does and bring it to the NFL. I really do.
I just wish that it was like when you talk about like the most like the competitiveness and like just how like they should transition to that, where it's like in the NFL, like in the NFL, that a team is gonna lose, like you just know, and it's like as bad as like one team might be, but the thing is about the Steelers, they're such a wild card, right? Where as bad as the quarterback play might look, it's still Mike Tomlin. Do you really think Mike Tomlin is going to have his first ever season under 500? I want to say yes, but there's a lot of factors that can go probably not, because it's Mike Tomlin. He's going to have the dudes motivated. They're going to play real well. It's like when they went 10-0 and nobody thought that they were going to go 10-0 to start the season or whatever, and that run that they did, and then they kind of faltered in the playoffs. But they still went 10-6 or, at the time, and still ended up being a positive team, which it may have messed up their draft pick, but still,
No, you're right. You're completely right. I'm interested to see how this season's really going to play out for the South. I hope that the records could be a lot better than you have projected for all around. Minus the Panthers, because they just
because I didn't think I still think they can be competitive. Like I don't think they can just win 2 games. Maybe Bryce Young has a step up second year. Maybe they get him some decent weapons that can help him out. Maybe there's like a fluke game where they win and they beat, maybe they got to play the Vikings or somebody who I think is the worst team in the NFC. Everyone keeps saying that like I just think it's either going to be them or the Giants. Those are going to be the 2 teams. Like if you got the Giants on your schedule or something like that, like I still think those are going to be one of the 2 worst teams. I still think the Panthers can be competitive on defense. On top of I still can't discount Bryce Young and what the magic he's able to do.
So, what 12 games do you have the Saints losing? I'm just curious.
Well, realistically, if you look at it, they'd have to lose both games to the Falcons. They would have to maybe lose 1-1 to the Bucs. And they would have to maybe lose 1 to the Panthers. Because the thing is, if I have the Panthers at 4-13 and I have them at 5-12, they have to maybe beat each other up. You know what I mean?
Right. And I was just curious as to how you came up with the.
So realistically, check this out. You got to play the Panthers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles the first 3 games. You could be 1-2 to start the season.
But
you'll
get the first win. 2-1 to start the season.
2-1.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. We'll have to see. The Cowboys always look good early on in the season. We'll have to see later on. If you're playing the Cowboys later in the season, I might give you that win. You gotta play the Falcons.
I'm really hoping we beat the Cowboys just because, my brother-in-law is a Cowboys fan, and, we always give him so much slack for that one, but that's just kind of a personal,
So you got to play.
My hatred for the Cowboys is more than my hatred for the Falcons, if that tells you.
I think everyone's like that. I think everyone just can't stand a Cowboys fan for sure. Even though there is a picture of me back in the day as a kid with an Emmitt Smith jersey. I just didn't have a team. This is what happens when you grow up in Alabama.
Emmitt Smith, so I guess
it's what happens when you grow up in Alabama. You got to play the Falcons at home and early on in the season. Could get a win out of that. Or the Falcons could get a win out of that. You can split it. Who knows? You got to play the Chiefs. That's a loss. At home. The Chiefs at home. That could be a loss. I mean, that is a loss. You got to play the Bucks. That could be a 1-1, right? You got to play the Broncos. There's a win. What I got? 2 wins so far? Possibly 3? You got 3 wins right there, okay? You got to play the Chargers at home. I don't think you can beat the Chargers at home. Maybe.
I do.
Maybe. I think they're better. I think they're better offensively. You got to play the split between the Panthers.
I think our defense can shut their offense down, though. In all honesty, I think our defense can shut their offense down.
All right, you got to split. You got to split again with the Falcons. I think you lose both of those games against the Falcons. I just think that
I don't
if it's
think
going to be that year. But it's a prediction. I get it. You got to play the Saints. I don't think we sweep the Falcons, but I think we split. That's what I'm saying. Like that's 11-6. The Canadians. That could be a split on a lot of these teams. With anybody, with any of them. You got to play the Browns. You're at home against the Browns. We don't know what the Browns are. Maybe that could be the 4th win. You got to play the Rams. Do you think you're going to beat the Rams at home?
If we don't get called pass interference.
You got to play the Giants. That's a win. There you go. I think you're going to win against the Giants. There's a win. The Commanders, either or, borderline.
That's a win.
Later in the year, we'll see what Jaden Daniels is like, okay, and what the Washington Commanders are like. You got to play the Packers at home. And by the way, that's December 23rd outside. You think the Saints are going to win that game?
Possibly.
Don't kid yourself. If it was the Falcons playing the Packers at home on December 23rd, I am going to say that the Packers are going to beat the Falcons red-handed because it's going to be cold and it's going to suck.
That's going to be I'm not even going to cut that game on because I already know we're going to lose that one.
And then the Raiders, so maybe 6 wins. So maybe I was a little skeptical, 6-11, not 5-12. How about that? Because then you finish off with the Buccaneers at the end of the season and you could split that. Maybe 7-10.
I'd say we could take the Bucks twice.
Well, see, if I'm wrong about the Falcons being 11-6, then they could be 10-7. The Bucks could be still 8-9. Y'all could be 7-10. And what if they go 3-14 with the Panthers? I mean, I'm off by 1 or 2. You know what I mean? It's it's because of the splits.
Pretty much there. I think more 8 and 9. Personally,
yeah. Well, I could see that too. I mean, even last year, but both of them went 9-8. But the thing is, I don't think the Falcons are going to go 7-10. You got to split 2 of those games somehow, or you got to take 2. You got to take 2 from one of these teams. Like Baker Mayfield can't beat the Buccaneers earlier in the season 16-13 and then go lose to them by 29-24 or whatever it was with the Falcons.
Yeah, and the worst part about that is my mom's a Buccaneers fan, and I don't hear the end of it.
Yeah, I understand that. I would understand that. I don't have any other family members that really care. My little brother. I mean, we're texting each other as soon as the AJ Terrell thing came out. You know what I mean? He's watching press conferences just like I am. I mean, the kid loves the Falcons, so it's my sister will pull for the Falcons because we are. My mom's the same way. My dad will just watch a Falcons game because it's on Fox. Because he knows that his son's watching it. I mean, that's just, they're going to pull for those teams regardless. And it's just like I said before, like they've like growing up here, like never had a team. So
Right.
realistically, like it's kind of rough to say that. We got some people talking in the chat. Zach is vibing. He's always cool to hang out with and talk about some sports too. He always wants to be a part of it. Saints record is wrong. They're a 500 team. Steelers go 7-10. QB Russ will be exposed. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to be the starting quarterback after week like 3 or 4. I think they'll go to Justin Fields, and they could still go 7-10 with Justin Fields. So the Saints won't lose 12. Saints go 8-9, 7-10. So I mean, Zach's pretty spot on too. 8-9, 7-10 with your prediction.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think the Saints are, oh my gosh, they're not 2009 by any means. They're
not a few years ago. They're not a team that's like, even in itself, it's like I'm still afraid of them when Taysom Hill's under center. Like I'm not. That's the thing. It's like I'm not afraid of Derek Carr. I'm afraid of Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I am not
Hill,
afraid
though.
of Derek Carr. That's the thing. Maybe it's just because maybe it's just because I'm just sick and tired of hearing about like how bad Dak Prescott is, but then like we don't even bat an eye when Derek Carr's bad.
Right. And I get it. I'm giving Derek Carr this year to prove himself. I'm giving last year as a mulligan because it is a new offense that he had to learn after he'd been at the Raiders for so long. You know what I mean? Like, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt of last season being his transition year, and he needs to do something this year.
You're right. Well, I greatly appreciate you being on, man. I'll have to get you on again. I'll set it up a little bit better next time and have it all set up once you get on, and we'll try to do it that way. Or I kind of like the way the Discord has it because I can just pop it up real quick and then just slim you down and then put you on the stream. Once I get
hopefully next time I won't be on my phone and I'll be at my computer. So
that's all right. That's cool. That's what's fun about it.
I'm on the fly, the seat of my pants right now. I don't have stats in front of me, so I can't really,
No, that's the reason why it's just a podcast. That's why we're sitting here talking about whatever. We can just shoot the shit and just say whatever we want. So I mean, like at the end of the day, like you're coming out with it. You know your team.
What
now?
I still want to look a little knowledgeable.
It's okay. We're not making you look bad. We would never make you look bad. I'm the one that's supposed to look bad on here. I don't mind it. I'll look like a fool. I'll look like a clown. I'll have fun with it.
I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later, all right?
Yes, sir. Later.
Always great to have somebody like that on the stream. Thank you so much to Yorkie. Hit him up on Kick, Captain Yorkie. Great friend. Great supporter of the channel. Always fun to be like that. If you want to get in the Discord, you want to be a part of it too, you don't have to be on video. We could just give it the audio. And we'll break all that down. So let's finish up this show. We're getting close to 2 hours. I wanted to finish off with, of course, on this day in history. And some historical events that happened on this day in history. In 1485, the Battle of Bosworth Field. Henry Tudor's forces defeat English King Richard III during the last battle of the War of the Roses. And by the way, I have been watching this thing called History March. Or March. It's History March. Or Marche, because it's Marche. History March is really fun to watch. If you've never seen it, go on YouTube right now. I'm going to support another person's channel very much. Especially when it's very cool, because I'm a history nut. If you go watch History March, it's awesome. They talk about the War of the Roses. They talk about Genghis Khan. They talk about a bunch of different Roman battles. They talk about a bunch of different, like they have one about the Civil War in Chancellorsville, I believe. They have a couple of other ones like Civil War related. They've got some ones from like, early 1600s, 1700s, Attila the Hun. Just some great, I mean, they even talk about some of the Viking raids. They do some of the early English battles between, just them, like how many civil wars they've had, especially the War of the Roses and all the other little things that are the English Civil War in the 1600s, the 100 Years' War. They talk about a bunch of the Crusades and Saladin. So there are some really cool stuff. Like I I am a huge supporter of History March. I think it's one of the coolest YouTube videos, and they're very interactive. They show like they have like little boxes or little circles to differentiate between the different like cavalry or archers or whatever, and it's actually really cool and very educational if you've never seen it. It's actually a lot of fun. Then you just start going down this crazy random history tunnel, and it's just like really cool to be able to kind of watch that. In 1639, Madras, now Chennai, India, founded by the British East India Company on a sliver of land bought from local Nayak rulers. And in 1642, the English Civil War begins between the Royalists and the Parliamentarians. In 1775, King of Great Britain and Ireland, George III, proclaims the American colonies to be in open rebellion and orders his officials to suppress it. We all know what happened after that. 1864, the first Geneva Convention adopted in Geneva for the amelioration of the condition of the wounded in armies in the field, and it was signed by 12 different nations. So the first Geneva Convention was today in 1864. Today in sports history, in 1927, Yankee slugger Babe Ruth hits his 40th home run during his MLB record 60 home run season in New York's 9-4 loss to the Cleveland Indians at Dunn Field. 1917, the Pittsburgh Pirates play 4 straight extra inning games. Could you imagine doing that now? 4 straight extra inning games. Left fielder Carson Bigby sets the MLB record for 11 at-bats in 22 innings and a 6-5 loss to Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field. In 1933, Chicago Cubs president William Veeck Sr. urges MLB to incorporate midsummer interleague games and a split season. So that's kind of where you got your interleague games and your split season was in 1933. Thank you, Mr. Veeck, because I enjoy the interleague games. I know some people don't like them. I wish there was more of them. I wish they would do a 3-game set instead of a 2-game set. I think the 2-game set is kind of stupid. See if we can find some other ones that maybe some people might know. In 1959, American Football League officially named at a meeting in Dallas, Texas. Charter members Dallas, New York, Houston, Denver, LA, and Minneapolis, St. Paul. So the AFL was officially named in 1959. And a baseball record in 1959, Cincinnati Reds future Baseball Hall of Fame outfielder Frank Robinson hits 3 consecutive home runs and 6 RBIs in 11-4 over the St. Louis Cardinals at Crossley Field. Also, by the way, Ellie De La Cruz, he actually came here and played for the Chattanooga Lookouts against the Trash Pandas. Never even crossed my mind. And I actually got to watch one of those games that he was here. And he's 20-60 guy. 3rd Red to ever be 20-60. I don't think it's as good as like what Ron Acuna was able to do. But the stolen bases, yes. I mean, he's fast, he's athletic, he's a great defensive player. I just don't think he can hit for a lot of power. In 1960, Gil Hodges sets the NL record right-handed home run record with number 352. In 1961, New York Yankee Roger Maris hits his 50th of the 61 homers. In 1965, San Francisco Giants pitcher Juan Marichal hits LA Dodger catcher John Roseboro on the head with his bat, causing a 14-minute brawl. Could you imagine if somebody nowadays used a bat as a weapon instead of snapping it over their knee like they do back in the day? In 1980, Bill Veeck agrees to sell the MLB Chicago White Sox to Eddie DeBartolo Sr. for $20 million. Only $20 million? Bro, that fight was too wild. Good watch. AL owners block the sale. How about that? Baseball record in 1984, Mets pitcher Dwight Gooden becomes the 11th rookie to strike out 200. By the way, guess who is the 12th? Just kidding. I think it was the fastest. The fastest to, like, it's Dwight Gooden and Spencer Strider is like the fastest to 200 as well. So, 1989, Nolan Ryan strikes out his 5,000th batter. Guess who it was? Rickey Henderson. In 1994, DNA testing links O.J. Simpson to murder of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. Think of it as what you want. Believe what you want. In 2004, American sprinter Justin Gatlin wins the coveted Olympic 100-meter gold medal in Athens in 9.85 ahead of Francis Obikwelu of Portugal and American Maurice Green. Glove didn't fit. Glove didn't fit. In 2007, the Texas Rangers rout the Baltimore Orioles 30-3. Remember that game? I do. The most runs scored by a team in modern MLB history. Let's see if there was any other ones before we get to the birthdays. Ones that would be fun to talk about. I don't see any. Let's see who has some birthdays today. Mel Heen, American NFL center for the New York Giants. He was born in 1909. He died in 1992. It was wet leather. It shrunk. That's why it didn't fit. Carl Yastrzemski. His grandson's playing really well. In 1939, American Baseball Hall of Fame left field first baseman. He was born today. It's his 85th birthday. Bill Parcells is 83. 1941, he was born. American NFL coach, 1993 to 2006. Two-time Super Bowl wins with the New York Giants. And he's got the Patriots on his list, the Jets, the Dallas Cowboys. He was born in Inglewood, New Jersey. Paul Molitor, you know Paul Molitor. 1956, he'll be 68. He doesn't even look 68 in this picture. It's got to be an older picture. Let's see, is there anyone else that we would know? I don't know that tennis player. I don't know who that is. There's not a whole lot of people today on their birthdays. Guys that I know, anyway. Max Crosby, American NFL defensive end. You know him. He was born in 1997. LaMelo Ball was born in 2001. And that is rounding off all of the birthdays on this day in history. So it's a great segment that I always like to kind of break down. I always kind of like to talk about. Gives me a little extra outside of the sports talk and gives you a little bit more fun. We're going over the 2-hour mark, so we're going to cut it out of here. Thank you so much for Yorkie to be a part of the show. If you want to be a part of the show, join the Discord. The link will be, again, on below. If it doesn't work, then I don't care. I'll get you a new one next time. If not, DM me, comment, say what you want, and be a part of the show. And we'll definitely get you on the show for sure. We're going to get some more people on here as well that wanted to be a part of the show and wanted to be a part of the fam. So thank you so much again for being a part of it. Thank you so much for James being here. Thank you much for Zach is Vibing being here. 2 Bourbon was here. Head of Steel was here. Captain Yorkie, of course, go hit him up on Kick. Jay Lowry, I think that's the same guy. So thank you so much for everyone being here. I appreciate everyone just kind of listening and letting me ramble on. We'll talk about some more over the weekend. We might do one on Saturday, possibly Sunday. Maybe recap the rest of the preseason and get ready for some fantasy football. So we can talk about some fantasy football as well. Give you some of my sleepers. Give you some of my some guys that could come out of nowhere, and some guys that you really should hold on to if you've got a keeper league. Because I actually have to get a fantasy draft going for another league. That Lowry guy, he's pretty cool. I heard he's pretty cool. He is pretty cool. But make sure you like and subscribe, retweet, love it, watch it for 20 minutes, whatever you want to do. Keep it going on in the background. Give me some views. Give me some love, all of that stuff, all that jazz. But I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you were fascinated when listening in. But get that league up for us. I will, James. I will get it up. I'm going to work on it today. Thank you so much again. I just want to say I appreciate everyone. And and the news, big news, by the way. I got a job. I don't know if I said that earlier in the show because I've been just rambling. But yeah, I got a new job. Going to start tomorrow. So that's the reason why we did a stream today. So if you weren't listening earlier in the show, we will be working. We start at 8 tomorrow. Don't know when I get off. So once all that happens, I'll be back. Maybe I'll do a video game stream or something like that tomorrow on Twitch. But we're definitely going to do either a podcast on Saturday or Sunday. So keep on the lookout for that. And like I said, greatly appreciate everybody. Again, go get some sleep tonight. I got some sleep last night. So thank you so much, and everyone have a good rest of their day. Peace.
I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
They might be going to call George Brett out.
Well, the Yankees win it. He's out.
Yes, sir.
Brett is out. Look at this. Brett is out. And
He's steaming mad.
he is out.
Swung, fly ball deep left center, Grissom on the run. Yes! 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 The Atlanta Braves have given you a championship.
Auburn going after it. Here's a good snap. It is blocked. It is blocked. It's caught on a run. It's caught on a run. He's going to score. David Wagner. David Wagner has scored. And Auburn is tied the game.
It's good! It's good!
It's good. It's good. It's good.
It's good!
Van Tippen has won the ball game.
Alabama has beaten Auburn!
I'd like for the people to remember me as being a winner, because I ain't never been nothing but a winner.